You did everything right. You were patient, present, and consistent. You showed up when she needed you, gave her your attention, and made her feel safe. You thought love would be enough. But suddenly, she's pulling away. Her messages got shorter. Her tone changed. The warmth that used to fill her eyes is now replaced with distance. And you're standing there asking yourself, what did I do wrong? But here's the truth that most men never understand. She didn't pull away because she stopped loving you. She pulled away because she started feeling too much. See, women don't always retreat when they're bored. They retreat when they're overwhelmed, when emotions get too intense, too real, too vulnerable. The female mind goes into self-preservation mode. The same closeness she craved now feels like danger to her subconscious. And instead of leaning in, she withdraws. It's not rejection. It's fear, the fear of losing control. Because the moment she starts to fall deeply for you, her defenses wake up. Old wounds, past disappointments, broken trust, they all start to whisper, be careful, don't get hurt again. So she does what feels safest. She distances herself, not because she doesn't care, but because she cares too much. And here's the twist. The stronger your connection was, the faster she pulls back. That's why it's so confusing. One day, she's completely open. The next, she's cold, detached, unpredictable. You start blaming yourself. You replay conversations, overthink messages, question your worth. But what's really happening has nothing to do with your actions. It's about her emotional threshold. You awaken something in her that most men never could. You reach the part of her that remembers what it's like to be vulnerable. And that's terrifying for a woman who's learned to survive through control. But here's where most men fail. They react. They chase, they question, they demand explanations, and in doing so, they confirm her fear that closeness means pressure. That's why the more you try to pull her back, the further she drifts. The only way to make her return is through calm distance. Because when you stop reacting, she feels safe again. When you stop forcing connection, she starts craving it. When you stand still, emotionally strong, peaceful, grounded, her mind begins to miss the stability that only you gave her. You see, love doesn't disappear overnight, but attraction dies in chaos. And when a man can master the moment she pulls away, when he can stay quiet instead of panicking, still instead of chasing, that's when he becomes unforgettable. Because she doesn't need a man who fills her silence. She needs one who doesn't fear it. Before we start, a quick reminder. My complete Stoic Couple course is now live at the stoiccouple.podia.com. If you've been learning from these videos, that's just the surface. Inside the course, we go deeper, mastering attraction, understanding female psychology, and rebuilding your mindset from the inside out. Join once, and you're in for life, with lifetime access to all future courses, books, and new lessons. Plus, you'll be part of our private Stoic community, a brotherhood where men like you grow together in discipline, power, and self-control. It's available in English and Spanish, and you can enroll instantly at the stoiccouple.podia.com or click the link below. Enroll once, grow forever. Let's begin. Number 1. The hidden reason she pulls away. Emotional overload versus indifference. When a woman pulls away, most men panic. They immediately assume it means she's lost interest, that she's found someone else, or that they did something wrong. But what's really happening beneath the surface is far more complex and far more human. Women rarely retreat because they feel nothing. They retreat because they feel too much. Their emotional world operates differently from yours. While a man might find comfort in consistency and logic, a woman lives in emotional rhythm. She feels everything deeply, constantly scanning the relationship for safety, certainty, and emotional alignment. So when she starts pulling away, it's often not because she's bored, it's because her emotions are overflowing. She's scared of losing herself in the connection, scared of needing you too much, scared of being vulnerable again, especially if she's been hurt before. Think about it. When a woman loves, she gives completely. Her love is immersive. It fills her days, colors her moods, and influences her sense of security. But when that intensity reaches a point where she feels she's no longer in control, her defense mechanism activates. She unconsciously creates distance to breathe. That's why she may seem distant, even after moments of deep connection. You'll notice it after a meaningful conversation, a night of intimacy, or when you've shared something vulnerable. Suddenly, she's quieter, colder, withdrawn. It's not rejection. It's regulation. Her mind is saying, "Slow down, this is too much." Now here's where the misunderstanding begins. When she pulls away, most men chase. They sense the emotional gap and try to close it with words, reassurance, or attention. But that only overwhelms her more, because now she feels the pressure to respond emotionally when she's already at her limit. What she really needs isn't a man who demands reassurance. It's a man who embodies reassurance. A man whose energy says, "I'm not going anywhere, but I don't need to cling." That's where the stoic man stands apart. He knows that silence can be more comforting than insistence, and that distance can actually deepen desire when handled correctly. The difference between emotional overload and indifference is subtle but powerful. Indifference is cold. It pushes her away completely. Emotional overload is warm. It pulls her close, then backs away to protect itself. If you respond to overload with pressure, you break the connection. If you respond with composure, you amplify it. Because when she sees that you can hold space for her emotions without losing control of your own, she feels something most men can't give her: safety without confinement. And that's the beginning of trust. Number 2, why your calm restores her desire, the power of emotional space. When she pulls away, your instinct screams at you to act, to send another text, to explain, to remind her what you have together. It's a natural urge. You want to fix what's slipping. But what you don't realize is that every move you make from panic only pushes her further away. Because what she needs in that moment is not more of your presence. It's the contrast of your absence. See, attraction isn't built in closeness. It's tested in distance. When emotions become overwhelming, a woman's nervous system craves balance. And if you can be that balance, calm when she's chaotic, centered when she's uncertain, you instantly separate yourself from every man she's ever known. Your calm creates what psychologists call emotional polarity, the invisible push and pull that reignites tension and curiosity. It's not about ignoring her. It's about mastering yourself so deeply that your silence feels like presence. When you don't react to her pulling away, she feels two things at once: relief and intrigue. Relief, because she's not being pressured to respond emotionally. Intrigue, because she wonders why you're not reacting like everyone else. That's where the power begins. Because in a world full of men who chase uncertainty, you become the one who attracts it. You communicate something without words. "I want you, but I don't need you." And that sentence, spoken through your stillness, awakens something deep in her feminine psychology. Every woman is drawn to the man who can hold emotional space. The man who doesn't demand validation, but inspires it. When you give her space without resentment, she feels safe again. Her nervous system relaxes. The chaos inside her starts to settle, and she begins to feel what she couldn't while overwhelmed: your absence. That's when her emotions return. Not because you chased her, but because you didn't. She starts remembering what your energy felt like, the calm tone in your voice, the steadiness in your presence, the peace in your silence. And suddenly, her logic fails, because her body and mind are now working against each other. Her logic says, stay away, but her emotions whisper, go back. And the reason she feels this conflict is simple. Your calm became her craving. You see, most men try to convince women with words, but the stoic man persuades with energy. His silence says everything her heart needs to hear. So when she pulls away, don't break the silence. Don't explain. Don't chase. Let your calm do what no words can. Rebuild her desire, one quiet heartbeat at a time. Because the moment she feels your peace more than her panic, she'll realize she doesn't want distance. She wants your balance. Number 3, the fear of losing control. Why love triggers her withdrawal. Love isn't the reason she's pulling away. Fear is. When a woman begins to fall deeply for a man, she doesn't just feel love, she feels exposure. Suddenly, her emotions are no longer fully under her control. Her thoughts drift toward you during the day. Her peace depends on your presence. Her happiness starts to align with your energy. And for a woman who values her independence, or who has been emotionally hurt before, that realization terrifies her. Because love isn't soft for her, it's dangerous. It reminds her of the times she gave her heart and lost herself, of the moments she trusted someone who later used that trust to break her. So when she begins to love you too deeply, her survival instinct activates. It tells her, be careful. You're losing control again. That's when you start noticing the distance, colder responses, less eye contact, a sudden emotional wall that wasn't there before. You'll sense it, but you won't understand it because it feels contradictory. She loves you, yet she's retreating. She says she cares, yet she creates space. What's really happening is emotional protection. Her heart is still open, but her mind is trying to shut the door before she gets hurt again. And here's where your role as a stoic man becomes crucial, because how you respond to her retreat determines whether she feels safe to come back or justified to stay away. If you panic, if you chase, overtext, or try to force reassurance, she'll interpret it as emotional instability. It tells her subconscious that being with you means losing the control she's trying to preserve. But if you stay calm, if your energy remains steady and unreactive, she feels something she didn't expect. Safety in vulnerability. You become the calm to her storm, the certainty to her fear, and that emotional contrast is what begins to pull her back. Because in truth, she doesn't want to run. She just wants to know it's safe to stay. And safety doesn't come from control. It comes from trust. When your silence isn't cold, but composed. When your presence isn't needy, but grounded. She begins to see that loving you doesn't require her to lose herself. That's when her walls start to lower. And this is the paradox few men ever master. The more you hold your ground when she retreats, the faster she comes back. Not out of guilt, but out of gravity. Because love, in its purest form, isn't something you chase. It's something that's drawn back to calm. Number 4, the calm that reverses everything, turning distance into desire. There's a reason silence is more powerful than words. Because silence leaves space for imagination, and imagination is the birthplace of desire. When you stop chasing, stop explaining, stop proving, you stop feeding her fear. And suddenly, instead of running away from pressure, she's drawn toward peace. That's the paradox of the stoic man. The moment he withdraws his energy, the emotional balance flips. The very woman who once felt overwhelmed by closeness begins to crave it again. not because of what he said, but because of what she feels in his absence. See, your calm does more than communicate strength. It rewires the emotional dynamic. When you're no longer emotionally available at her every signal, she's forced to reconnect with her own feelings. And that's when curiosity turns into craving. At first, she'll tell herself she doesn't care. She'll stay busy, distract herself, even talk to other men. But none of it fills the void your energy left behind. Because she's not missing your messages. She's missing your presence. That quiet, composed energy that made her feel safe, centered and feminine. And now, that energy is gone. But instead of feeling freedom, she feels disoriented. Because the calm that once made her feel secure is now the silence that makes her restless. That's when the pull begins. Slow, invisible, powerful. Your absence begins to speak louder than her thoughts. Every small reminder, your scent, a photo, a song, a place you went together, starts to carry emotional weight. Her subconscious keeps bringing you back, not as a memory, but as a question she can't answer. Why can't I forget him? The truth is, it's because your calm energy didn't just touch her emotions. It touched her nervous system. You gave her what few men ever can. Emotional safety without control, attention without neediness, presence without pressure. And when that kind of energy disappears, she doesn't just miss you. She needs the balance you brought into her life. That's the secret few men understand. It's not your charm that makes her crave you again. It's your discipline. Because a man who can remain calm in uncertainty, silent in confusion, and stable in chaos becomes a psychological anchor. Every woman is drawn to that energy, not out of weakness, but out of instinct. Because deep down, the feminine seeks what balances her emotions, not what mirrors them. So when you stop chasing her and start mastering yourself, you don't lose her. You remind her of what she's losing by leaving. And that realization, that quiet, invisible pull, is what turns distance into desire. Number 5. When she comes back, how to lead without losing power. She will come back. Not because you begged, not because you proved anything, but because she'll feel the shift. She'll feel that something in you no longer revolves around her, and that's when her curiosity turns into pursuit. It always happens quietly. A message out of nowhere, a reaction to an old story, a soft, "Hey, how have you been?" disguised as casual, but her mind is anything but calm. Because she's not just checking in. She's checking if your energy still belongs to her. And here's where most men fail again. They celebrate too soon. They take her return as victory, not as a test. But a stoic man knows her coming back is not the ending. It's the evaluation. You see, she's not just coming back to reconnect. She's coming back to feel if your calm was real or just a performance. She's testing your emotional temperature, your growth, your restraint. And if you lose your composure now, if you flood her with attention, apology, or need, you teach her that your peace was temporary. That's why the true power isn't in her return. It's in how you receive it. When she reaches out, you don't rush to reply. You don't act cold, but you don't chase warmth either. You stay balanced, polite, grounded, brief. You lead the tone, not follow it. Your calm becomes the rhythm she must match. Because at this stage, your role isn't to win her back. It's to lead her energy. She's already coming toward you. Your stillness simply guides her there. Speak less. Listen more. Let her explain herself if she chooses, but don't dig for reasons. The stoic man never needs explanations to validate his peace. He already learned that silence was the greatest teacher. And if she mentions missing you, don't rush to fill the gap with affection. Let her words hang in the air. Let the silence between sentences remind her of the man she almost lost. Because what she's drawn to now isn't comfort. it's your control. The man she left behind was emotionally available. The man she's drawn to now is emotionally balanced. She's not coming back for attention. She's coming back for stability, for the feeling that your world doesn't collapse when she leaves, that your energy doesn't depend on her approval. And when you maintain that energy, something powerful happens. She relaxes again. She stops testing, stops retreating, stops pretending. Because deep down, she never wanted dominance. She wanted direction. And when you embody calm leadership, she stops running from your silence and starts chasing your peace. Number 6, when she starts chasing what she once took for granted. There's always a moment, quiet, subtle, almost unnoticeable, when the emotional power shifts. It's when she starts checking your profile more often, when she lingers on your name, wondering if you've moved on, when your silence, once frustrating, becomes fascinating. That's the moment her mind starts chasing you. It doesn't happen because you said the right thing or played some manipulative game. It happens because your energy changed. You stopped giving your peace away. You stopped reacting to her distance and instead started protecting your presence. And that's when the reversal begins. See, a woman's attraction isn't controlled by logic. It's controlled by emotional polarity. When you were chasing, the polarity was reversed. You carried the emotional weight. She carried the control. But once you became calm, detached, self-contained, the dynamic shifted. You're no longer orbiting her. You've become the center again. And now, everything inside her starts to recalibrate. She begins to feel your absence, not intellectually, but emotionally. Because women don't miss what they lose. They miss what they can't replace. The moment she senses that you've stopped waiting, her ego starts to panic. Because to her, your attention was a form of validation, proof that she was still desired, still admired, still wanted. But now, your silence denies her that validation, and her mind can't accept it. So she starts doing what you once did. She replays old conversations. She overanalyzes your tone. She wonders if you're thinking about her. She feels the same uncertainty you once felt, except now you're in control of it. This is the emotional reversal, when your absence becomes her teacher. Because in that silence, she starts realizing the truth she once ignored. You weren't just another man trying to impress her. You were the calm she couldn't find anywhere else. And that calm now feels like oxygen. She'll try to recreate it with others, but it won't work. Because calm energy doesn't come from chemistry. It comes from discipline. From a man who knows his worth. From a man who doesn't chase approval, but attracts respect. And once she realizes that your peace is no longer available on demand, it becomes the very thing she craves. That's when she starts chasing. Not to regain control, but to reconnect with the feeling of stability your energy gave her. You didn't win by chasing her back. You won by mastering yourself. Because the moment you stopped trying to prove your value, she started feeling it. Number 7. Why the stoic man always wins in the end. In the end, every emotional story tells the same truth. The one who controls themselves controls everything. The stoic man doesn't win because he plays smarter games. He wins because he stops playing altogether. While others chase validation, he chases clarity. While others seek reaction, he seeks peace. And that peace becomes his weapon. When you stopped reacting to her silence, you did something most men can't do. You removed the power of uncertainty. You stopped letting her distance define your value. You stopped giving your emotions away like currency. And in doing so, you became the one thing she never expected, unaffected. That's why the stoic man always wins. Because his strength doesn't depend on the outcome. It lives in his consistency. When she sees that nothing she does can shake your peace, she realizes something powerful. She never had control over you. She only had access. And now, that access is gone. You've become what every woman subconsciously desires but rarely finds, a man who moves with purpose, not pressure. You don't chase her love. You embody self-love. You don't demand attention. You command respect. You don't need to be chosen. You already chose yourself. That's the moment when attraction transforms into admiration, because she's no longer drawn to your looks, your words, or your gestures. She's drawn to your discipline. Your silence has become your legacy. Your peace has become your presence. And even if she walks away again, she won't be able to forget the emotional gravity you carried. See, most men think strength is loud. They confuse shouting with leadership, control with confidence. But true power is silent. It's in the way you breathe when others panic. It's in the way you listen when others argue. It's in the way you walk away, not out of pride, but out of peace. Because once you've reached that level of stillness, you no longer fear losing anyone. You understand that everything meant for you moves toward you naturally. That's why the stoic man always wins. He doesn't win the argument. He doesn't win her back. He wins himself. And when a man wins himself, he becomes untouchable. So let the world chase noise. Let others confuse chaos with connection. You stay calm. Because in a world that worships reaction, the man who moves in silence becomes unforgettable. You didn't lose her. You found you. And that's the most powerful victory a man can ever have. Silence. That's what victory sounds like. Not the sound of applause. Not a text notification. Not her voice calling your name again. It's the stillness of a man who finally stopped running. Not from her, but from himself. You've learned something most men never will. That peace is not the reward at the end of the storm. It's the calm you carry through it. You've realized that control isn't about dominance. It's about discipline. And now you understand the truth behind every Stoic teaching. The less you react, the more power you hold. That's why she felt your absence so deeply. Because your silence wasn't revenge, it was evolution. It was the moment you chose growth over validation, purpose over panic, mastery over emotion. And if this message resonates with you, it's because you've already begun that transformation. You're not here by accident. You're here because you're ready to lead, calmly, quietly, deliberately. But this is just the beginning. Inside the Stoic couple community, we go far beyond what these videos can teach. You'll uncover the full system, how to master emotional control, rebuild masculine confidence, and understand attraction through psychology, not guesswork. We don't just talk about dating. We talk about direction. We don't teach tactics. We teach transformation. And the best part? When you join, you get lifetime access. One enrollment, endless growth. Every new course, every private discussion, every upcoming release is yours forever. Because you're not just buying information, you're entering a movement. Inside our private Stoic community, you'll connect with men who live by the same code, men who have stopped chasing attention and started chasing excellence. Men who understand that attraction follows peace, not panic. Men who lead by energy, not emotion. It's not a chat room. It's a brotherhood, disciplined, focused, united by one mission, to become the calmest man in every room. So if this video felt personal, it's because it is. It's your story, your silence, your evolution. The question is, will you keep watching from the outside or finally step into the circle? Visit thestoiccouple.podia.com or click the link in the description. Enroll once. Grow forever. Because the man who controls himself never loses. He only evolves. Where silence becomes strength and peace becomes power.